Happy 2024, all. I'm Sarah, your host of What's on Your Plate podcast. Thank you for coming back to another episode, another year in this space. I appreciate you more than I could ever describe. I took a little extra time over the last month to just find some stillness, some calm amongst the chaos. I hope you did too. Reminding myself that what matters most is the way I feel about the things I'm doing, how I'm spending my time, and how I'm leaning into my purpose. It's an ongoing reflection and one that needs constant attention. Today's episode and guest seemed like a perfect fit for the very first episode of 2024, in that she is helping us get back to remembering the importance of the very thing that makes our lives possible, our breath. Have you actually thought about that much lately? Breathing? You should, because it's a fundamental, foundational part of all we are meant to do in our lives. Take a deep breath and listen in. This one is golden. So welcome back, everybody. I am here today with Jenny Cheifetz. Jenny is a life and breathwork coach focused on working with sports families who are consumed with athletics and the stress and strain that go along with it. Welcome, Jenny.
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah.
I'm so excited to have you in this space with me because I feel like so much goes untalked about in this particular area that you have so much insight on, and I'm excited to just shine light on all the areas that we're not in regards to sports and how they're affecting us and our kids and our families.
Yeah.
Tell me about how you found yourself in this space and how it started.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because I didn't really expect to find myself in this space. I'll be honest, I'm not a sports mom. I'm just not. And that's, I guess, the ironic part of it is I live amongst a lot of sports moms. I'm in a very sports heavy community, and my kids play sports on a rec level, on a high school team level, but we're not super go-getters. We're not doing the club thing, the tournaments, the showcases. My kids are not getting college scholarships. So we're not all in there. But I love sports. I love watching sports. If anyone ever had an extra ticket to the Super Bowl, I'd be all in. I would love to go to Wimbledon. That's my jam. So I really appreciate what athletes do to get to that elite level. And I really appreciate what moms do and dads, but being a mom, I am more compassionate to the burden of a mom, of a working mom, of a stretched, thin, loving, just tired, stressed mom who takes on everything and tries to do it all while not having or feeling like she can do much for herself without guilt. So I found myself in a life coaching certification course during the pandemic, which is an entirely other storyline, which I joke is kind of act 9 of my life. And that led to breathwork certification. And as I was, niching down, as they say, and finding where I wanted to put my energy, I want to serve moms because I connect to moms, midlife moms,
Mhm.
and loving sports the way I do and looking around my community, which is not where I need to serve because we live in a virtual world. I see this strained group of people who don't ask for help but need it.
Okay, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just need to
Yeah.
let you know that I feel so seen.
And no, I need a breath. So yes, go for it. Yep.
I mean, truly though, this is speaking directly to so much of what I feel inside of myself in regards to what you're talking about, with just the moms that are overextended, stretched thin, tired, and not taking care of themselves. You've just described who I am.
Well, thank you, and I'm sorry, and
But
I
I'm
love
so
you.
thankful that there's you who are now seeing this side of it all
Yeah,
and are doing something about it.
yeah, yeah. And it's a shame that it's taken this long.
I feel like all amazing things take far too long to come
Mm,
forth. You know,
yeah,
anything that is really needed, it seems like it just takes longer than is ideal. But I'm glad it's here now. And I'm glad that you are shedding light on all of this, as I've said, and really putting a focus on just the many layers. It's not just like, suiting up your kid in their uniform and sending them off to game day, and you're sitting in the bleachers cheering them on, and everybody goes home happy and cheery and fulfilled, right? There's so many different pockets of things in between all of that.
right. And showing a Tide commercial where mom is so excited to be washing the uniform.
Right.
Like it's just the joy of her life to
Right.
to wash another, uniform after practice because that's
Yeah.
what we have so much time to do.
And it's like, in one sense, it is one of her most joyful things because it's one of the things that is necessary to allow her child to that her child loves. So she finds joy in her child's joy, right? But at the same time, all of those things piled on top of her or the parents then
Other,
sucks their joy,
yeah.
right? It's just truth. I mean, it's not a popular truth, but I feel like it's truth.
I mean, it has to get done, yes, and it's what's needed to be done so that dear son can go play the game, but mom has plenty of other things that have to get done, and the list
Mm-hmm.
is never ending. And you know, for mom to sit on the couch and binge watch Ozark comes at such a cost. And she gets side eye from every other member of the family, including the dog, because there are, quote, so many other things she should be doing. And why isn't dinner made because she was sitting on the couch drooling over Jason Bateman? Like, why is that not okay? Why can't we call Domino's? Why is that wrong? Because she shouldn't have been wasting away the afternoon on the couch. If other members of the family had been doing that, it would have been okay. But because she did it and other things didn't get done, there's just
You live in my house.
right there. Why aren't there? There's every house should have a poster, with these things written on it.
Yeah. Well, the cultural conditioning is no
Yeah.
joke, and it's so deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what makes it unacceptable, is what the world has told and shown us that mom's place is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the only difference now is that moms aren't necessarily wearing aprons. I'm just wiping my dirty hands on my sweatshirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just not wearing heels in the kitchen. I'm wearing Crocs.
Right. Right.
So,
I mean, I
So
love that you're keeping this conversation real. It is, again, I just feel like you are just speaking the truth of, I mean, most moms I know for sure. And that resting, that guilt of resting. I think Glennon Doyle said it best when she said, stop resting at me, kind of thing. Or people are resting at me. Everybody else can do it but her.
yeah. And I mean, it's just because you mentioned, the conditioning and this is generational, and it's in our blood, it's in the DNA. And so we feel programmed to behave this way. And so to say, flip a switch and just change, many women feel I can't do that. I just don't know how to do that. So if I tell you, or if I tell a client, just try out today or tomorrow, sitting on the couch and watching a show, and don't feel guilty about not folding laundry while you're doing it. Most women will get the shakes and feel like but the to-do list is just growing, or I should be doing something else while I'm okay, I can get watching a show, but there's other things I should be doing, like the folding or chopping vegetables, or the other things. So that's where the somatic techniques like breath work come in, because it takes retraining, reprogramming those neural pathways. It's not a flip switch. It's not like I woke up one day and said, I'm going to behave differently. I'm going to flip the script and go, renegade and be a different mom. No, these things do take time, but we can change. And we, if there's any shoulds that need to be introduced, that's the should. We should make these changes for our well-being.
Absolutely. And then having the rest of the people that are around you in your home know and support that mission is another layer too, of knowing that everybody needs to feel that wellness in the house.
I mean, when mom's resting state is stressed, that's not good. That's when your short fuse is snappy and grouchy, and so now you're arguing with everyone, and you're bitter and resentful. Well, what does the household look like? So now if the family meeting is, okay, well, this is how changes are going to look, and this is why. Well, I think it's easier for everyone to get on board with that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, I would say with pretty much full on certainty that every mom that has ever been described as the mean mom or the crabby mom or the short-tempered mom is a mom that is just so overextended and so lacking in her own well-being that she just is tapped out totally. And she doesn't even know anything else other than just relentless forward motion of getting through the day for the benefit of everybody else, not herself. So it's like the notion that there's no bad kid, it's just something is wrong that they can't verbalize or describe, you have to figure out what that is. So yeah, it's an epidemic. I feel.
Exactly. Yeah.
How does breath work come into play with what we're talking about?
So it is, well, I mean, you could look at it as a method of self-care. It's a modality. So if you look at what do you do to bring in a sense of well-being, do you go to the gym? Do you do yoga? Do you meditate? What do you do to feel calm? to me, that's how I would categorize breath work. It could also be described as a healing modality. So if you're working with past trauma, if you have stuff to work through, past big T, little t, if you've got depression, anxiety, if you've got stuff in your history that you want to, specific things that you want to work through. If you've just got chronic stuff that you're wanting to manage, all of that can be done through this modality. So it's a practice, again, like yoga, like fitness, like nutrition, like having a sleep hygiene routine. So you can, I would prefer that people hire me and work with me. And then obviously again, like working with a fitness trainer or, I would liken it best to that when you work with a fitness trainer, you're going to keep up better with your routine than if you go rogue. But, you work with your trainer and then you, in between, do your routines on yourself, or you can, do pockets of. So let's say working with me, I would guide you through a session. And then when you have this breathwork knowledge, then you have the information, you have the tools that when you're in stressful situations, or let's say you just want to go to bed in a relaxed state, or you're, like I said, you're in a stressful situation like, I don't know, traffic or a grocery line that's really chaotic, carpool, you're waiting at carpool, and you're just feeling, I tell people a lot, when you're in the garage before, or the driveway, in your car before entering your house, and that's going to be a really stressful experience, you can use breath work in that minute or two to settle your nervous system, because you have that tool. You can implement that for your system before entering your household. So a session could be 15, 30, 45, 60 minutes. It's all up to you. It's led by the client, it's intention-based. And it's all choreographed with music, tempo. And it could be something to settle you. It could be something to energize you. It's really all based on what your system needs. And it's moving stuck energy in your body, but you're not talking. Me, the facilitator, I'm talking, I'm guiding you, but you're just breathing.
Mm-hmm.
You're breathing, you're focused on your breath, and you just get into this deep state of consciousness where you're not even really aware of what's going on, sort of like your body is just doing. And the whole point is to get out of your chaotic mind. And you're just in your body at that point. And
just sort of coming back to yourself.
yeah. And things just happen that it's like you're no longer controlling. You're no longer driving the bus anymore. And you just let go finally. And you don't have to do anything. That's the nice part. You just be. You just breathe.
That sounds incredibly peaceful.
Yeah.
How is this being applied to our young athletes and families that are supporting them? What are some of the things and some of the areas where this is necessary for kids in sports and families with kids in sports?
So, especially elite athletes who are dealing with pressure, pressure to achieve, perform on the field, on the court, but also socially, academically. They've got pressure coming at them from every possible angle. You know, their coaches, their parents, their friends. If they might even have an outside job. Like they are just feeling the pressure from everywhere. And being teenagers, most of them don't know how to express themselves. Breath work allows them to again move that stuck energy, that pressure, without having to say anything. So if they're feeling that anxiety, let's say, because that's what most of them are experiencing, it's not so much the depression feeling, but it's that stress anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna, they don't want to talk to a therapist. They don't want to speak about it because it's hard to articulate.
Mm-hmm.
So breath work is a modality that allows that frustration to break apart, to process without having to talk about it. But the tricky part is most most people walking around don't know about breath work. So they don't know that this is an option for them and their teen athlete. So that's just the hard part is bringing this to the awareness.
Well, I think now is a great time to talk about how you're doing that with your um, upcoming platform. Sideline Sisters podcast launches January 3rd, which I'm
Yeah.
really excited to listen to these conversations with people affected by all this and how you're bringing light to their particular situations.
Yeah, well, I mean, the podcast is very light-ish. It's conversations with all kinds of people just about different aspects of sports. So it could be athletes, it could be coaches, um, super fans, sports moms. But yes, it is an opportunity for me to bring up the topic of breath work. So hopefully that will help raise awareness and bring to light, like you said, this modality to people who otherwise would not have known, because it is the stress amongst teen athletes it's prevalent, it's massive, and it's just, it's getting worse and worse as teens feel the burden of getting the scholarship or going further. They feel responsible for making it big. And I think, we all know the statistics that the likelihood is slim, and then there's, the possibility of injury. And so breath work really does offer so much in terms of, I mentioned the stress and anxiety, but also it helps when someone is returning to the game after an injury. A lot of times they're feeling that PTSD of, how do I get back out there? I don't want to re-injure, or I'm having flashbacks of, the scene of the injury, the scene of the crime. And breath work can help alleviate some of that, or hopefully all of that. But or if there's uh, um, what do you call it? If there's friction amongst players or coaches or dynamics, any kind of negative dynamics, it can help with that. The feelings of I'm not getting played, or you know,
Mm-hmm.
it can really help with any of those, just any emotion that you want to work on, confidence, inferiority, anything that a teen would feel. That's why I said earlier, intention based. I want to feel like a champion. I want to feel like a winner. I want to feel um, like I'm an amazing player. That's where you bring that intention to the session. And, I want to feel like when I step out on that court, I'm amazing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We bring that to the session.
I think this is what comes to mind when you're talking about this. It's a great example of uh, learning how to take control of your own energy when you know you can't control other people's. I feel like a lot of the reason that this is even a thing and that people even need this is because of obviously what society is telling them that they should be doing or could be doing, what coaches and parents and just the world is communicating to them in regards to expectations that they should be meeting, or what they should be living up to, or they should be comparing themselves to. All of those types of things that work their way into our mindset cause us to even start having this anxiety and to feel the strain of these pressures. And those are all things that, I mean, that would be amazing if everybody in the world could just line up and do all the breathwork sessions and find the calm within themselves, right? To not even communicate that energy. But until that happens, helping people to remind themselves that the power is within them and not something that they should be seeking from the outside of themselves is a powerful part of breathwork, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think you've said something before about a lot of what contributes to anxiety is just the way we identify with it.
Yeah, for sure.
You want to talk about that a little bit? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
So many people, just in general, walk around with the I am statements. We've become a society of I am anxious, I am stressed, I am angry. And we need to learn to separate from the identifying as I am anxious. We've come to own those feelings. And when we can separate and say, I am, feeling anxiety. I am feeling angry today. And when we what that intention allows us to do is bring in a feeling of, I want to feel joy. I want to feel calm. And so instead of owning, when we take on this anxiety persona, it's like we don't allow anything else to enter our bubble. We've become it. And so we walk around in this suit of anxiety, and it's impenetrable. And so that becomes our interaction with everyone. And so breathwork allows us to break up all of that it's like Drano. I think of it as like Drano for our system, that when we breathe these patterns, pouring in and breaking up all of this negativity so that we can allow in that beautiful intention of, okay, now we can allow in calm.
Mhm.
So that, yes, we have those anxiety feelings. And maybe now that we're headed into state championships, sure, that's going to bring up sensations of anxiety. Sure, that's a big game. And we can allow that to be there. And how do we handle that? Okay, we know breath patterns to work through that. We know how to approach this situation because we have tools. Okay, we've done visualizations for this. We have tools in our toolbox, but we don't have to own this whole persona of now I am anxiety, so I need to throw up and I need to stop eating and I need to curl into the fetal position and rage and not, not speak to people for days. We
Right.
have tools.
Right. And there's space for both the anxiety that ultimately does come along with feelings of wanting to perform well, right? But there's space for that amongst the calm.
Yeah, duality exists.
Right.
Right. So I picture a scale in like the scales of justice. I kind of picture that in the middle of my body. We have to balance that. So, okay, so those feelings of anxiety are there, and I want to bring in that sense of calm. Okay, so there's that feelings of anxiety, and I want to bring in that sense of calm. So, what am I feeling? I'm feeling anxiety. What is that like? I need to sit with that and acknowledge that in my body, because when I do breath work, before I start my breathwork session, I need to acknowledge what's there. I need to be familiar with my body. So when I work with a client, we have to get in touch with our body. We have to know our bodies. When we operate, most of us are so out of touch with our bodies. Think of how many times, Sarah, that you go through the day skipping meals. You go hours without going to the bathroom because you're just busy, and you realize, oh my God, I haven't peed all day. I haven't had a snack all day. I haven't had a glass of water all day. That's not because you didn't need to do any of those things. It's because you hustled through it. Okay, so we are out of touch with our bodies. So when I'm working with a client, we need to first get in touch with our bodies. Okay, so then that duality. So we acknowledge the sensations of anxiety. What does that feel like? Okay, I'm starting to feel some butterflies in my body. Oh, I don't really like that. Maybe I'm starting to sweat. Okay, what does that feel like? I'm getting a little jittery. I don't really like that, but it's there. I'm acknowledging it. I'm allowing it to be there. Okay, now I want to bring in that sense of calm. How do I do that? Well, we worked on tools. We've worked on tools together. How do we do that? Well, we can bring in some breath work. Okay, we drop the shoulders. Okay, we've done some visualization work. What's your happy place? The quote happy place. We've done some work on that. Let's do that. Let's find that. Let's get rooted. Okay, we get grounded. Let's do that together. Where we've practiced that together. These are things that we've now done together, working together. So these are things that, okay, now we still feel anxiety. We still have those sensations. That's still there. It's not like it disappears because we've got that state championship game coming. But are we starting to feel a little calmer? Are we recognizing a calmer sensation? Are those butterflies going away a little bit? Okay, so that duality is coming in. We can recognize the anxiety. We can also start to feel a little calmer. It's the anxiety is dissipating. That's how we can connect with our bodies and do this work together and just give ourselves grace and not shut down, fall apart. Because so many of us, when we own that anxiety and become an anxious person, we just flip out. It's all, we live in such an all or nothing society.
Yeah. And not even just flipping out about it, but then we blame it on it too. Something comes to mind with I standing amongst a crowd of people and overheard somebody say something about this is not good for my anxiety. So my anxiety, instead of saying this is not good for the anxiety,
right?
Exchanging the word my for the, like releasing that identifying factor of it.
Totally.
Then it was also just an awareness of the blame.
Yeah.
You are this because you're identifying with the anxiety as being almost like a third arm or something. It's like an extension of you.
Right.
So yeah, being able to come back into our bodies and to really just take notice and stop just adapting and compensating for just that hustle, like you said, the hustle and the grind of just all the things, whether you're a kid running to practices and to class and to extracurriculars and your job maybe, or you're the mom that's highly overextended and can't even remember to drink a glass of water during the day. We've done such an amazingly tragic job of compensating that it's just become detrimental to well-being on all scales, young and old alike.
Yeah.
But with the work that you're doing with the breath work, reminded that muscle memory is a thing and it is relevant to breath work as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. It is cumulative.
Yeah. I love the fact that you are helping people find themselves again. I mean, that's essentially what you're doing. You're reminding them that they're humans. You're reminding them to get back to that humaning that is really having nothing to do with all of the checklists and all of the appointments and all of the agendas of our days, right? I mean, that's just something that we've, artificially cultivated as a world, but it has nothing to do with actual humaning. But what you're doing is pulling us back to that.
Thank you. I'm trying. I mean, you just try to look around and say, really, what actually matters?
With the anxiety and the pressures where they are with everybody, I mean, something obviously isn't right. Something needs to be done differently.
Yeah. I mean, something does need to be done differently. And it can start with just breathing.
Yeah, getting back to like just the fundamental part of ourselves that is our breath. I can't remember who said it, but your breath is the one and only thing that will, without question, be with you always, no matter what, right? And we ignore it.
Right. That's
We're not even aware of it.
That is true. We are not aware of it, and to a fault.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we neglect the most basic parts of us, and we don't acknowledge it until we're given, a tragic, pronouncement of fate, and then it's, oh, I should do something about this.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's true for many areas of our lives. And I'm sure you and I are guilty of it in other ways too. Anything from, not taking care of our sleep patterns and not eating well and
Exactly.
not exercising how we should. And we pay more attention when something starts to suffer as a result of that. I've said it before in regards to the fitness realm of things, is it is far easier to stay in shape than it is to get into shape.
Yes.
But so often we don't pay attention until we actually need to get into shape.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a good one. Yeah, no, I was just thinking about that yesterday. Yep. Yep. Like, oh, how did I let this happen?
How would you um how would you suggest that people incorporate breath work just into their lives? I mean, I love it that we're utilizing it to address actual issues and problems in a more way, but how do we pull it into our everyday so it just becomes a practice of our wellness?
Yep. So yeah, I mean, obviously, like I said before, sure, I would love for people to call me and
Yes.
book sessions, but on a day-to-day, it's so easy, Sarah. So I'll give you some simple things to do. And this, you could okay. So for the listeners, think of your most stressful moments. And this is going to vary person to person. But depending on, if you're moms, if you have kids, but for most people, as I had said, if you've got a point in the day where you are getting out of your car and entering your house, that point where it's going to be chaotic, um, or you have stuff to do. So even if there's no one there, but you're entering your house and you have a list of things to do, that's a transition point. I would say sit in your car, turn the car off. Before you get out of your car, take 1 to 2 minutes and drop your shoulders, close your eyes, relax your face, soften your belly, relax your whole body, release the tension, and inhale to exhale. And you're going to do that one to the next, one to the next, one to the next, intentionally. So your exhale can either be a blow or a sigh. So either like candles or with your mouth open, like a sigh, but one to the next, one to the next. Your choice of speed, depth, intensity. Do that for 1 to 2 minutes with the intention of stress relief, bringing in a sense of calm, bringing in a sense of joy, whatever positive sensation you would like to have entering your house. That would be one sense of breath work. Another would be when you lie down to go to sleep. I would take that same breath pattern, but I would slow it down. Okay, that inhale to exhale, slow and deep. I would do that 30 to 60 seconds with the intention of having a peaceful night's rest and maybe thinking about how you would like to wake up the next morning. I'd like to start my day with joy, with clarity, with confidence, with gratitude. Again, something positive, but maybe that'll depend on how something you need to do the next day. Never anything with a not, like not angry, not disappointed, not sad. Don't do that. Now, starting the day, with some energy, that's going to be a different breath pattern. If you want to wake up with some energy, I would do that lying down. You can do it lying down or sitting up. I like to do all through the mouth. And this would be short. This is going to be just maybe like 10, 20 seconds, just with the mouth. This is going to feel a little bit like a crunch, like an ab crunch. This is just focus on exhale. So focus on blowing out. You're going to just focus on the exhale. The inhale is just going to be kind of a byproduct. You're going to feel it as a belly snap. And it's going to be kind of quick. That's a little bit energizing. And you can think of that as like, I want to start my day. I'm going to be energized. I feel a little pep in my step. Let's do this. Kind of like an LFG energy. But that's just kind of a quick 10, 20 seconds.
Okay.
That's kind of some ways to bring in little pops of breath work.
Yeah, I think that is really good in way of somebody starting to incorporate this for sure.
Yeah.
It's like anything else. Like if you start lifting weights, probably don't lift 50 pounds right away, right? But when you start small and can build up to those longer sessions that people can reach out to you for, it gives them just a glimpse of, wow, that is really making me feel better. That feels really good. How can I dig deeper into that breath work?
But honestly, anytime you're feeling stressed, whether someone cut you off in traffic or you're in a really long line at the store that you wish were moving faster, take a deep breath, period. Just take a deep breath. That in and of itself is calming. So just do that anytime you're feeling frustrated. Like you just start with that even before anything else.
What I really love about this so much, I keep coming back to the thought in my mind of that everything, 99.9% of what we need for our well-being is already in us. We just haven't been using it, right?
Right.
And I love that about breath work. Like if you can just pause long enough to remind yourself that you can breathe and you can breathe in a way that is cleansing and calming and a reset, a rejuvenation of your energy.
Yeah.
Like that can like make the difference in your entire day, ultimately your entire life, if you're using it as a practice, right?
Yeah. I mean, I posted a reel on Instagram recently. So, here we are a little bit before Christmas. And I said, number one tip for not being a jerk at the holidays toward people is pause and take a breath before you open your mouth. Like that is my best tip for not being mean. I use different language, more colorful language, but for not being mean to people is pause before you open your mouth. If you just were to pause and take a breath before you speak what's really on your mind, you might not say what's on your mind. And then you might avoid massive conflict and the, what transpires beyond that. And then imagine that world.
Imagine if everybody just took a deep breath today.
How about that?
Yeah. What a better world we would live in.
Yep.
Jenny, Jenny, tell our listeners just what you want them to most walk away with today. What do we want to leave our listeners thinking about and connecting with?
What I want people to know is that breathwork is an amazing transformational modality. It truly makes a difference, and it is worth trying. I come from a not hippy dippy woo background. Like, my parents are your basic East Coast family. Like, I grew up in Massachusetts and was not exposed to meditation and yoga and anything of that alternative lifestyle. So for me to promote breathwork means something. I did not grow up with tofu. I eat tofu now, as we both know.
Side note, Jenny's vegan, so extra layer of awesome.
Right? I didn't grow up with any of this. So this is real. This works. And it is so, don't knock it till you try it. It is so worth, if you have any sense of stress in your life, and who doesn't, why would you not try anything and everything to relieve it?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't your well-being worth that? Aren't you worth that? Aren't your kids worth that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that's the fact that you have evolved so far away from that typical cookie cutter type of upbringing that you described is just a testament of just the depth of growth that you have achieved, because ultimately growth is just being willing and able to have your mind changed, right?
Yes.
So you have evolved your mind so much over the years that you've grown exponentially into who you are and what you're offering to the world now. And it's just really cool. It's really cool to see.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's what I was trying to say, just not as eloquently.
I think you said all the things perfectly today. And this has been just an amazing conversation. I can't wait to share it. It's just so necessary, as is your work and as are you. So thank you again for just taking the time to be in this space with me today. Tell us how we can find you and how we can stay connected.
Thank you. So my website is Jentle Coaching with a J for Jenny. And my Instagram is the same, Jentle Coaching with a J. And on the Jentle Coaching website offers page, so Jentle Coaching /offers, there's a bunch of freebies. So there's a couple of free breathwork sessions that people can try out. And Sideline Sisters, the podcast, is launching. So that's,
yay!
I don't know, probably available. I mean, it's up on all the platforms, so it's there. Go subscribe. And there's also a Sideline Sisters Facebook group for all the sports fans out there who want to stay in the conversation and have some fun.
That's awesome. And yes, for our listeners, please do go subscribe, follow and share, leave reviews and rate the episodes once they're available. That is the best thing that you can do to help sustain the spaces for podcasts, is to do all those things. So please definitely do that for Sideline Sisters. And yeah, just stay connected, stay in touch, and absolutely reach out to Jenny for that more in-depth breath work. I think it's going to change you for the better. Thank you for sharing this space with me today.
Oh, Sarah, you're the best. Thank you.
This one was really impactful to me. It seems so simple, yet breathing and doing it intentionally is arguably the most powerful tool we all have to navigate life with a little more calm, awareness, and peace. Yet so many of us forget to just pause and do so. Thank you for sharing your time with Jenny and I today. I hope your 2024 starts with the intention to break up the anxieties you feel and the action to actually put those intentions into motion. Get connected with Jenny at gentlecoaching.com and seek her guidance in helping you along the way. All ways to stay connected to Jenny as well as myself are in the show notes. Please support both Sideline Sisters and What's on Your Plate podcasts by rating, leaving reviews, and most importantly, sharing the episodes. We couldn't do this without you. We can't be in this space without your support. And remember, just breathe. In times of stress, when nothing and no one else seems to be there for you, your breath will never fail you. See you next time.